What's going on, people? So these right here got a new pair of shoes in. So as you see on the side of the box, there's some information for you, right? I'll cover that in a little bit. Now, I did the unboxing of these on Instagram Live, I don't know, a couple weeks ago probably, because I'm just now getting time together to actually do the videos and stuff, right? So these have been sitting over there on the floor for a good while now, and now it's finally time to talk about them, right? So let's go ahead and do that. As you saw on the side of the box, this right here is the Nike Free Run Trail in Thunder Blue and Cinnabar Orange. I feel like that's right. Something along those lines anyway. Now, we're going to start things off at the bottom. Down there, what you're looking at, right? Kind of your typical sort of outsole that you're going to see on a shoe like this. Not as trail friendly as other trail type shoes that I have, because it really looks very much the same as anything else. But there you go. Anyways, moving on up here to the midsole. So this here doesn't really do a whole lot to set itself aside from what you saw on like a standard free, but it's got a nice color to it. I'll give them that, right? And now, moving past all that stuff, giving you guys an overview of like what the whole upper and all that good stuff of the shoe looks like, right? So we can talk about it. It's looking pretty decent, but just to say it's pretty decent doesn't really do enough for you, at least not enough for a lot of people. So we'll give it the normal deep dive into things and talk about all that crap, right? So we're going to start down here. It should be pretty quick because this is very much one piece sort of look. Now down here around like where the toe box would be and just kind of basically extending all the way to the very back, you have this outlining piece where it's going to be like a suede. Nothing amazing or anything like that, but for $110, I think it is, you shouldn't really expect too much. But it is a nice blue. I do like that. Feels pretty decent. Nothing amazing, like I said, though. And then behind that, if you look down in here, you can kind of see it is right there up along the side of it. It's not like it's two layers like Hirachis or anything. So it is, I guess, stitched together. But behind there, you do have some of that Cinnabar orange kind of peeking through. I don't know if it's Cinnabar and orange or if it's, I don't know how that's laid out, but I try not to make a lot of sense in Nike colors. Anyway, so down here, you got that whole thing going on. And as far as like the material goes, I can't quite speak on that because it's kind of deep down in there. Can't really get a good feel on it. But as you see, it is just going to be like your standard orange and stuff. And pattern wise, it's not the same as what you're going to see on the rest of it or anything. It's just kind of some lined out stuff, right? So anyways, moving on to the very back end here, you got a lot of what you saw on the front end just laid out a little bit differently. So you got the suede blue on the upper and the lower area, and then in the middle, you have this sort of like a meshy sort of nylon type of feel going on here. I'm not sure exactly what material it is, but you do have that with a stitched on Nike swoosh. So it's a pretty decent look, you know what I'm saying? And then moving back over here to the front area where the laces are. So one thing that I'll cover for sure right now, because I might forget later, at the very bottom, right, you have what is almost like a lace doubre in some ways, but it's not on the laces. It just kind of reminds me of that. So you got this Nike thing down here on the bottom, right? It's kind of just this stiff piece of plastic thing that's kind of like embedded down in here, and it extends pretty low under where that is. You can kind of tell like where it dips down just a little bit if you look from the right angles. But anyway, so that thing there, it kind of takes away from a little bit of the space in the shoe and makes it feel a little tight in that area. So keep that in mind when you're looking into these, because that, not the greatest way to design a shoe in my personal opinion, but it might just be me. I don't know how everybody else feels about it. I'm just putting it out there because it's something that I noticed. Anyways, moving on past that, moving up here to like the actual laces and stuff. These laces, it's kind of be some sort of like a weird sort of yellowish, tannish color. I don't even know how you want to describe that, but you got that going on, and the laces themselves are kind of like the ones that you may remember if you have any Element 87s. I know they have this style and some other things. They kind of feel like a burlap sack or something. It's not the greatest material, but you know, it fits for what this is. I'll give them that, right? So behind that though, you have more of like that same sort of color that you saw peeking through down on the bottom areas. This time around, it just looks more like a mesh than it did down on the sides, but it's largely just going to be the same material with a different sort of appearance. And then when you get to the very top of that section, you have more suede going on and you have a little bit more stitching. Overall, this piece here where it says Nike Free Trail 5.0, It looks pretty cool. It's got an old school style look to it, you know. So there's that for you. And then moving back around here onto the inside. Well, before we get onto the inside, I kind of skipped over, but you do have this little pull tab thing on the back, whatever you want to call that. You got that thing going on. And now moving back over here to like the inside area, you got the sock liner that you kind of see from the outside. It's got more of that meshy style feel on the outer, and then as you get to the inside, it kind of has like a weird sort of like, almost feels like a light jacket might feel, I think, you know. So it's kind of like nylon, kind of like a maybe polyester, I don't know, some sort of material that isn't amazing. I'll give it that description, right? So you got that going on, and that just goes way down into the rest of the shoe and stuff. Speaking of way down into the rest of the shoe, you got these pretty cool insoles going on, so each one looks very much the same. I'll pull out the other one when I take the pictures and all that good stuff. So it just says Nike Free 5.0, and in case you want to know what it looks like down there without the insole, it looks a lot like, what is it, like an NMD, I guess you could say. But anyways, one thing I will say about these, the materials, it is fairly breathable, so that's a good thing for a shoe like this. It's kind of one thing that you will want. But past that, I think we've covered everything there is to say about like the overall looks of this. So we're gonna move on past that, and I'll hit you with some personal thoughts or whatever. So these right here, I think they look pretty decent, right? It's not a bad look, and it's not a bad price. So that's kind of why I picked them up. Also because I like trail shoes. So if you're gonna find yourself out on a trail, this might be all right for you. It's not going to be the best design overall compared to some of the other things that I have as far as the way the upper is made and all that, but it's going to be decent enough. Maybe if it's like a sidewalk that goes through nature, maybe that kind of trail. But if it's going to be like some off-road, if you want to call it that type of thing, this might not be your best guy for it. But I figure, you know, if you're going to be, let's say you're being chased by like Michael Myers or something, you know, you probably don't care, and you're probably just going to want to have something decent to run through these little forests and stuff. This will probably do you fine for that, right? Because then it's just about staying alive, as they say. But anyways, so as far as this whole thing overall goes, I haven't had a Nike Free in years, and so this is my first one in like probably like 15 years. And it's not making me want to buy more of them, but I do like this because I like trail things and the colors are decent. So take that for what it's worth. Now, let's go ahead, move on past all that stuff, talk about like the sizing, comfort, and all that, and then we'll be done. These right here, I bought these in a 9.5 because that's what made sense to me, and normally it works out. This time, it's not so much, right? So for one, down around the upper, you probably notice like that these don't really have a lot of way of expanding or whatever for like where you put your foot in through. So it's going to be a very narrow foothold or whatever you want to call that. So that's a problem for a lot of people, I would assume. And then as you get down into the shoe, right, the dimensions of it don't feel that bad, but you have like next to no room in there, honestly, you know, and that's just me wearing like normal average socks, and I'm cool with a snug fit. So take that for something. And then, like I was saying before, with like that whole part where it's got like the Nike thing at the bottom of the laces, that takes up a little bit of room that you do have in there, which leaves you with none for the most part, right? Now, walking around in these, they did start to feel a little bit better, you know, kind of as you break the shoes in. But the question is, how much further are they going to break in? Because if it's only a little bit, that might not be enough for a lot of people. So, long story short, you might want to go half size up on these and see how that works out for you. Because true to size, it'll work out for some people, but not all people. And then the midsole here, that it's nothing amazing, you know what I mean? It's, if you've worn a pair of Frees or anything other with this sort of basic midsole, you know what you're getting into. It's going to be fine for something all day if you want to wear it all day or whatever. But if you're looking for the pinnacle of comfort, obviously you want to look somewhere else. I mean, again, $110, you should really kind of expect to get a $110 experience, right? So I think that should cover most things. But overall, though, they do look pretty solid, like I said, and I'm not unhappy with them. I just think that there's some room for improvement, you know? It is. But that's probably why they're not selling so hot, right? Anyways, that's going to be it for me. Just wanted to talk to you guys about these things, and now I've done that. So, from me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. I'll be back with more reviews, 'cause I got 2 more to record after this. As far as when they actually get released, who freaking knows? Later, people.